Russian spy submarine stealthily surfaced next to a U.S. aircraft carrier, reigniting the long-standing feud between these two global powers on the open seas. What unfolded next was a gripping saga of strategy, surveillance, and suspense. How did the U.S. Navy respond to this bold maneuver? And what secrets might the submarine be aiming to uncover from the world's most advanced naval vessel? Join us as we uncover the thrilling details behind the Russian spy submarine that surfaced next to a U.S. aircraft carrier. Imagine a gigantic aircraft carrier sailing through the vast open seas when it suddenly picks up signs of a potential underwater threat. The first line of defense for the aircraft carrier is its advanced detection methods. Among these, powerful sonar systems act like the carrier's underwater ears. They send out sound waves and listen for echoes, using these returning sounds to pinpoint the exact location of a submarine. Advanced signal processing helps distinguish between the normal background noise of the ocean and the unique sounds made by a submerged vessel. But sonar is just one part of the carrier's extensive toolkit. Satellites and reconnaissance aircraft sweep large areas of the ocean from above, looking for any suspicious signs that might indicate a submarine's presence. Additionally, underwater drones and other innovative technologies boost the carrier's ability to detect hidden threats. If a submarine is detected near the carrier group, the situation becomes very serious. The entire carrier group goes on high alert, with every crew member at their battle stations ready to respond to any possible threat. At this point, communication and coordination between all units become vital. During such a situation, the carrier and its escort ships might alter their course and speed to form a tighter defensive formation. This maneuver makes it more difficult for a submarine to target the carrier and enables a more effective anti-submarine warfare strategy. Helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft equipped with sonar and other detection equipment are dispatched to locate the submarine precisely. The vessels in the carrier group then use torpedoes, depth charges, and other specialized weapons to eliminate the threat. The initial focus is on gathering useful intelligence and establishing a strong defensive stance. The final course of action depends on various factors, including the specific scenario, international protocols, and the rules of engagement. Can the nation's diplomatic efforts and communication strategies protect it from the devastating fallout of this conflict? When a submarine suddenly appears near a carrier group, the atmosphere becomes incredibly tense. In such high-stakes situations, clear communication and effective diplomacy are absolutely essential to prevent misunderstandings and avoid escalation. Ships use standard radio frequencies and dedicated communication channels to talk directly to each other. They also rely on international maritime signal flags to send basic visual messages. Beyond these immediate methods, diplomatic channels between the United States and Russia would quickly be activated. Embassies and military officials would work tirelessly behind the scenes to explain intentions, reduce tensions, and find a peaceful resolution. International maritime laws and conventions provide rules for safe navigation at sea, which are crucial in resolving such conflicts. The primary objective in these situations is to handle everything calmly and professionally, using clear communication and established diplomatic procedures to ensure safety and prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. However, even with meticulous communication and strong diplomatic relations, it isn't always enough to maintain peace and order. So what other forces are at play? Have you ever wondered what would happen if a Russian submarine and a U.S. aircraft carrier found themselves in a real conflict? What kind of strategies do you think each side would employ? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Imagine the intense scenario where a Russian submarine suddenly surfaces near a U.S. aircraft carrier. This sets off a complex and highly strategic series of events. The aircraft carrier, often considered the crown jewel of a carrier strike group, becomes the focal point of an intricate dance of tactics and operational maneuvers. Carrier strike groups, CSGs, operate in carefully planned formations, with cruisers and destroyers creating a protective screen around the carrier. These escort ships are armed with advanced sonar systems and weaponry designed to detect and neutralize submarine threats. Moreover, the carrier strike group often includes its own submarines, stealthily patrolling the depths and adding another layer of strategic defense. The reason behind the submarine surfacing plays a crucial role in determining the next steps. In a non-hostile situation, It could be due to a mechanical issue or the need to communicate. International maritime law provides protocols for handling such emergencies and ensuring communication at sea. In these cases, the carrier group might offer assistance or maintain a safe distance to facilitate communication through established channels. However, if the situation were hostile, the response would be dramatically different. The CSG would rely on its full array of defensive and offensive capabilities, coordinating between ships, aircraft, and submarines to address the threat. This tense interaction involves multiple strategies and careful considerations, showcasing the high stakes and complexities of modern naval warfare. When hostile actions are suspected, the situation can quickly become tense. The CSG operates under strict rules of engagement, which determine how much force can be used. These rules take into account the severity of the threat, international laws, and the importance of trying to de-escalate the situation if possible. The ultimate responsibility for making these decisions falls on the CSG commander, who must assess the situation and choose the appropriate response. In a non-hostile scenario, if a submarine surfaces near the carrier group, the CSG might try to establish communication, offer assistance, or simply keep a safe distance until the situation is clarified. Sometimes the CSG will follow the submarine at a safe distance to keep track of its movements. International law generally allows submarines to navigate freely in international waters as long as they do not interfere with the lawful activities of others. However, if the submarine surfaces near U.S. territorial waters, the CSG's response might be more assertive. The carrier group could use visual or verbal warnings to prevent the submarine from entering restricted areas. Such encounters can disrupt the CSG's ongoing missions, as resources might need to be redirected to monitor the submarine, which can delay planned operations or training exercises. Maintaining a strong defensive stance can also temporarily limit the carrier's offensive capabilities. The interaction between submarines and carrier groups is constantly evolving due to advances in technology and strategy, making these encounters dynamic and complex. Modern submarines are equipped with advanced technologies that reduce their noise and improve their design, making them extremely hard to find. These innovations allow submarines to operate almost invisibly, presenting a serious challenge to aircraft carrier groups. Submarines are armed with a variety of weapons such as torpedoes, anti-ship missiles, and mines, which can cause catastrophic damage to carriers if they manage to get close enough. However, carrier groups are not defenseless. They deploy sophisticated sonar systems like towed arrays and dipping sonar from helicopters to create a protective shield around the carrier. Escort ships within the group carry weapons like anti-submarine rockets, torpedoes, and depth charges to eliminate identified threats. Anti-submarine warfare tactics are continually evolving, with carrier groups using coordinated maneuvers to evade detection and predict submarine movements. Modern commanders rely on computer modeling and data analysis to anticipate potential submarine activities. In addition to physical defenses, carrier groups engage in electronic warfare to disrupt enemy sonar and communication systems while safeguarding their own networks from cyber threats. Submarines, in turn, may employ electronic warfare tactics to conceal their presence or interfere with anti-submarine warfare efforts. These technological advancements play a critical role in shaping naval strategies globally, as maintaining the ability to detect and counter submarines is vital for controlling key sea routes and projecting military power worldwide. For nations with carrier groups, countering the submarine threat remains a top strategic priority. The ongoing technological race between submarines and carrier groups shows no signs of slowing down. It's a constant battle where each side strives to outwit the other in the vast ocean arena. Throughout history, clashes between these two military giants have made the world hold its breath. Submarine versus aircraft carrier conflicts create tension across the wide expanse of the ocean. Historical case studies vividly illustrate the ongoing saga of technological advancements, strategic maneuvers, and international diplomacy. One notable incident occurred in 1970 when a Soviet submarine surfaced dangerously close to a U.S. carrier group in the Mediterranean. The encounter escalated with aggressive maneuvers from both sides until diplomatic channels diffused the tense standoff. This event underscored the critical need for clear communication protocols to prevent misunderstandings and potential escalation during such encounters. As a result, dedicated communication channels and emergency protocols at sea were enhanced to ensure calmer resolutions in heated moments. Fast forward to the late 20th century, declassified information reveals another significant incident involving a U.S. submarine and a Soviet carrier group. The American submarine remained undetected for an extended period, highlighting the advancing capabilities of modern submarines and raising concerns about the vulnerability of carrier groups to underwater threats. This incident prompted substantial investments in anti-submarine warfare technologies, leading to the development of more sophisticated sonar systems and improved tracking methods. In 2006, a Chinese Song-class submarine surfaced near a U.S. carrier group led by the USS Nimitz. Although the situation remained peaceful, it triggered intense diplomatic efforts and highlighted the importance of clear communication protocols to prevent misunderstandings. This incident underscores how future scenarios can illuminate the complexities of such encounters. Imagine a scenario where a submarine, equipped with advanced noise reduction technology, breaches the defensive perimeter of a carrier group. Electronic warfare becomes crucial in this battle. The carrier group might employ jamming tactics to disrupt the submarine's sonar and communications. Meanwhile, the submarine attempts to conceal its presence and disrupt anti-submarine warfare efforts. The outcome hinges on the effectiveness of each side's electronic warfare capabilities and their ability to exploit technological advantages. Military strategists conduct expert analysis and simulations to prepare for such events. War games and simulations allow commanders to test various strategies and tactics in a controlled environment, identifying potential weaknesses and areas for improvement. These simulations consider factors such as the capabilities of the submarines and carrier groups involved, environmental conditions, and international protocols. The goal is to anticipate challenges and develop effective responses to maintain safety and prevent misunderstandings from escalating into conflict. The strategic impact of these incidents goes beyond immediate clashes. Insights gained from each interaction shape future technological developments and strategic decision-making. Nations with carrier groups strive to maintain an edge in anti-submarine warfare technology, while submarine-dependent nations continuously pursue advancements in stealth and weaponry. The ongoing interaction between naval powers has profoundly shaped the dynamics of maritime dominance, underscoring the critical need for clear communication channels and international cooperation to ensure safety on the expansive ocean stage. Amidst the presence of massive aircraft carriers and stealthy submarines, both marvels of engineering, it's crucial to consider their environmental impact when they intersect with marine life. When these giants of the sea converge, environmental considerations become paramount. One significant concern is noise pollution, akin to an underwater vacuum cleaner generated by ship engines and sonar. This noise can disrupt marine creatures' communication, hinder their ability to find food, and even cause harm to their hearing. Accidents such as oil spills or damage to fragile habitats on the ocean floor further exacerbate these environmental risks, akin to littering in a park. Recovery from such disruptions can take a considerable amount of time, impacting marine ecosystems profoundly. Fortunately, efforts are underway to mitigate these environmental impacts. Newer ship designs prioritize quieter operations, and some navies employ special sonar settings to reduce underwater noise pollution. Moreover, international collaboration has led to the establishment of rules aimed at protecting the oceans, such as designated traffic lanes that steer ships away from critical marine habitats. Adhering to these rules is similar to respecting the boundaries on a soccer field. It ensures safe navigation and conservation of marine environments for all inhabitants. Let's now examine the movements of the Russian spy submarine in detail. The Russian fleet of ships was observed traveling south along the coast of Florida toward Cuba for scheduled military exercises. In response, the U.S. military deployed surveillance aircraft and ships to monitor this convoy as it moved towards its intended destination. Among these efforts, the U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Stone is strictly shadowing the Russian flotilla off the east coast of Florida. Initially, it navigated through the Atlantic in a zigzag pattern, moving north towards the upper coast near New York before turning sharply south along the east coast towards Florida. The Russian Navy flotilla continued near the coast of Florida, closely monitored by a U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol and reconnaissance aircraft flying overhead. The P-8 Poseidon was seen circling in a large loop pattern above the water, where the Russian flotilla was reportedly located, according to tracking data from the U.S. Coast Guard cutter. As the Russians continued southward from the Florida coast, an unusual sight was the U.S. Air Force KC-135 stratotanker orbiting southwest of the Russian flotilla and its escorts, tracked via the aircraft identification system. Meanwhile, the Coast Guard cutter Stone, along with other U.S. government vessels, maintained close surveillance on these warships off the coast of Florida, near the Largo area. The KC-135 stratotanker, believed to have departed from St. Petersburg, circled in the vicinity of the Russian vessels. These extensive monitoring efforts highlight the careful observation of the flotilla, currently in international waters and thus outside U.S. national territory for now, ensuring that their navigation at sea poses no threat. However, they're getting very close to making their way towards Cuba. An escort was observed from the Celebrity Reflection cruise ship, and it's quite remarkable to see. There's an actual photo allegedly taken from the cruise ship showing the Russian warships in the distance, just off the coast of Florida. It's intriguing and somewhat unnerving for the passengers to witness these vessels at sea. Russian spy ships play a crucial role in Russia's naval strategy, focusing primarily on gathering intelligence and monitoring global maritime activities. Unlike combat vessels, these ships are designed for surveillance, aiming to collect data on foreign naval movements and capabilities. This enhances Russia's understanding of the maritime situation at sea. Equipped with advanced electronic surveillance systems, these spy ships can intercept and analyze various communications, including radar and radio signals. They specialize in signals intelligence and also possess electronic warfare capabilities to disrupt or deceive enemy electronics. This includes jamming enemy radar and communication systems using countermeasures. Moreover, Russian spy ships utilize sophisticated radar and sonar sensor arrays to improve situational awareness. This allows them to discreetly monitor the movements of naval assets without being easily detected. The U.S. Navy frequently encounters these Russian vessels, which are permitted under international maritime law to transit through the U.S. exclusive economic zone. An example occurred in January 2023, when a Russian spy ship was observed approximately 100 miles off Hawaii. In another incident, in 2019, a Russian spy ship operated unsafely off the southeastern coast of the U.S. Such encounters illustrate the potential challenges when these spy ships come across U.S. aircraft carriers in international waters. Speaking of aircraft carriers, they are crucial assets for the U.S. Navy, serving as versatile and resilient mobile airfields globally. They support operations against diverse targets, enhance maritime security, and aid in disaster response and humanitarian efforts. The United States boasts 11 large nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, each capable of carrying about 80 fighters, making them the largest in the world. These colossal vessels have more deck space than all other nations' carriers combined. Often likened to floating cities, they are armed with advanced weaponry such as F/A-18 Hornets, ready for extensive combat missions. These aircraft carriers play a crucial role in patrolling vital waterways and swiftly responding to international crises, thereby bolstering U.S. maritime supremacy and global influence. Their dominance underscores why Russian spy ships are so eager to gather intelligence about these formidable naval assets. The primary objective of a spy ship is to gather valuable information from aircraft carriers, such as details about advanced systems, mission plans, or personal data of crew members. Therefore, sailors may promptly receive orders to power off all electronic devices as a proactive measure. This action aims to prevent any interference or unauthorized leakage of information. In addition to preventing interference, turning off electronic devices helps maintain a controlled electronic environment on board, which is critical for operational security. It ensures that sensitive information remains secure and allows for a focused response to any potential threats. Furthermore, U.S. Navy aircraft carriers are equipped with a variety of offensive and defensive electronic warfare systems to counter potential threats. These systems not only disrupt the surveillance and intelligence gathering capabilities of spy ships, but also interfere with their operations by jamming their communications. Radar jamming, for instance, involves emitting signals that interfere with the spy ship's radar, disrupting their ability to accurately detect and track targets. Similarly, sophisticated communication jamming equipment on aircraft carriers can interfere with or block radio signals and communication frequencies used by spy ships. These systems are specifically designed to hinder the enemy's ability to communicate and coordinate effectively. Moreover, U.S. aircraft carriers can deploy decoy systems like electronic decoys or chaff to divert the attention of spy ships. These decoys replicate the electronic signatures of actual naval vessels, causing confusion and making it challenging for spy ships to distinguish between real and false signals. This multi-layered approach enhances the carrier's defensive capabilities against potential threats from spy ships. Signal intelligence, or SIGINT, plays a pivotal role in the electronic warfare strategies employed by U.S. aircraft carriers to gather crucial information from electronic signals. These signals encompass a wide array of data, including verbal communications, written messages, radar readings, and weapon system data. By analyzing the patterns within these electronic signals over time, carriers can gain valuable insights into the activities, intentions, capabilities, and potential threats posed by spy ships. SIGINT is closely intertwined with electronic countermeasures. Leveraging the intelligence gathered, the carrier can tailor specific responses, such as electronic jamming, to disrupt the spy ship's ability to communicate and conduct surveillance. In escalated situations, these countermeasures may also involve initiating defensive or offensive actions. Beyond mere tracking, the carrier's intelligence team conducts a meticulous analysis of the spy ship's behavior. This comprehensive assessment involves identifying aggressive maneuvers, evaluating the ship's proximity to the carrier group, and deciphering its motives. Armed with this understanding of potential threats, naval commanders can make well-informed decisions regarding the appropriate level of response. It's important to note that the carrier's command structure conducts a comprehensive risk assessment based on the intelligence gathered. This assessment takes into account various factors, including historical context and the perceived level of threat posed by the spy ship. The insights gained from this assessment guide the command center, particularly the Combat Information Center, CIC, in determining the optimal response strategy. This strategy can range from diplomatic engagement aimed at de-escalation to defensive measures designed to protect the carrier and its personnel, depending on the assessed level of risk. Finding enemy ships, no matter how fast and sophisticated these spy vessels are, is something the U.S. aircraft carrier never fails to do. This is all thanks to the cutting-edge surveillance systems aboard, which can detect their presence from miles away. U.S. Navy aircraft carriers use advanced radar techniques and technologies to achieve this comprehensive surveillance. Multiple radar systems play crucial roles, each designed for specific tasks in monitoring the seas. U.S. aircraft carriers are equipped with advanced surface search radar, which is crucial for navigating and detecting nearby ships and obstacles in the water. In addition to these powerful radars, U.S. Navy carriers utilize various detection technologies such as visual lookouts, electronic countermeasures, radio direction finders, and intelligence reports. These comprehensive monitoring systems ensure that potential threats, including spy ships, are not only identified but also prevented from remaining unnoticed. It's important to emphasize that spy ships differ from traditional warships in their primary mission, which is intelligence gathering rather than direct combat. If detected, spy ships may lack the defensive capabilities for engaging in combat and typically aim to avoid such confrontations. Therefore, their presence near U.S. aircraft carriers generally does not pose an immediate threat to the carrier's safety. However, based on advanced surveillance assessments, if a spy ship is deemed to endanger the sovereignty of the United States, appropriate measures must be taken to mitigate this threat. In the worst-case scenario where U.S. Navy personnel aboard the carrier need to respond defensively or offensively, strict rules of engagement, ROE, guide their actions. RO are guidelines set by military forces that specify the circumstances, conditions, and degree to which force or actions perceived as provocative may be employed. When U.S. Navy vessels encounter enemy ships nearby, RO prioritizes de-escalation, but also provides a framework for escalating responses if necessary. The decision to use lethal force hinges on the imminent danger posed by the approaching enemy vessel. Jack Barsky, a former KGB spy who operated undercover in the United States for a decade before being uncovered by the FBI, expressed concern over Russia's recent military maneuvers near Cuba. Barsky emphasized that viewing this as merely routine would be a mistake, especially given Putin's recent declarations about confronting Western powers in Ukraine. You can't dismiss this as just a regular exercise. It should be considered in the context where Putin is openly stating his stance against the West, he remarked. Despite these concerns, the Pentagon has downplayed the situation, asserting that the deployment does not pose a threat. They maintain that such naval activities are part of routine operations. Cuba's foreign ministry echoed this sentiment, emphasizing that visits by foreign naval units have been a long-standing practice under their revolutionary government's policy of fostering friendly relations and cooperation with other nations. According to a statement from the Cuban Armed Forces Ministry, none of the Russian ships in Cuban waters are equipped with nuclear weapons. However, Barsky expressed disagreement with both the Pentagon and Cuba's assurance. He emphasized that every action by Putin carries a message, often with undertones of threat. Putin likes to intimidate, Barsky noted, highlighting his concerns about the current geopolitical tension. His apprehension draws parallels to the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, a period when the fear of nuclear conflict gripped the United States for nearly 2 weeks. Given the current tensions, there's always a risk of accidental escalation, Barsky warned. That's what worries me. Former NATO Supreme Allied Commander General Wesley Clark echoed similar sentiments during an appearance. He argued that while Russia's naval presence near Cuba doesn't signify an imminent war, it's undoubtedly a display of power by Putin amidst the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, aimed at sending a clear message to the global audience. According to a statement from the Cuban Armed Forces Ministry, none of the Russian ships currently in Cuban waters are armed with nuclear weapons. Despite the concerns, the Kremlin insisted that no country, including the United States, had any reason to be alarmed by the military exercise. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov emphasized that it is standard practice for all nations, including major maritime powers like Russia, to conduct military exercises. Cuba has long been a close ally of Russia, a relationship that dates back to the Cold War era. From 2013 to 2020, Russian ships routinely visited Cuba each year. Today, Cuba is increasingly dependent on Russian oil and aid as it faces its most severe economic crisis in decades. Do you think that the Russian spy ships pose a threat to the United States? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.